This is Conversations with Paycheck and Red, a weekly podcast with two good old boys talking about anything and everything that crosses their mind. You may not know what you're going to get with an episode of Paycheck and Red, but you sure know you don't want to miss it. So do what you got to do. Download the app, find the episodes online, and make sure that you don't miss 1 second of Conversations with Paycheck and Red.
Welcome back. This is Season 2, Episode 1, Conversations with Paycheck and Red. I'm Paycheck, and as always, I'm with my main motherfucking man, Red Mincy.
What's up, party people?
What's going on, brother?
Nothing. Did you say Episode 21 of Season 1? Is that what you said?
No. Season 2, Episode 1.
Oh, word. Yes, okay. All right.
Is that correct?
Yes, that is Season 2, Episode 1. Yeah, we just started a brand new season. This is the first episode.
Yeah, dude, what is wrong with people listening to this crazy shit?
I have
Season
no idea.
2?
I have no idea. I never thought that when we started this shit that we would be 20 episodes in on it.
Yeah, dude, I'm stoked. I'm very appreciative. Yeah. So to all our listeners, we thank you. And in honor of our Season 2, let's all take a moment to listen to Red take bong riffs. Take it away, Red. Man, that sounds so good. How's things? How's your week? How's life?
Things are things. You know, working, paying the bills.
Yeah, as always.
Yep.
Yeah, same here. It's been a rough week dealing with dispatchers and carriers and shippers and receivers, and man, it's only Tuesday and I'm already ready for a weekend.
I feel that. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about myself though. This is celebrating Season 2, Episode 1 here. I broke out the good shit off the top shelf. Not only am I drinking PBR, but I'm also sipping on some Woodford Reserve.
Oh, I thought you was gonna say malt liquor.
No, not malt liquor.
Do I hear ice cubes banging around in that glass too?
Yeah, I kind of wanted a little something on the rocks this evening, so
ain't nothing wrong with that. I enjoy my my whiskey at a cool temperature myself.
I do get in the mood every now and then and drink it neat, but I prefer it on the rocks.
All right, man. Well, bullshit, man. It's people have been waiting patiently for this episode. It's going to be an interesting one. Red and I have been fired up for the past couple weeks in a heated debate. So, further ado, let them know what we're talking about today.
Paycheck, we are talking about the Nephilim, or the Nephilim, or the Giants of biblical times.
Just a quick little story. I found out about all this stuff about 2 years ago, and I've been hot and heavy in research over the past 2 years. You know, now I've taken some time off, you know, life, family, work, all that good stuff, but
right.
This is one of those topics that just intrigued the shit out of me, man. For those who don't know, you want to give them a quick debriefing, if you will, on what exactly is the Nephilim or the Nephilim?
Yeah, well, according to the Bible, let's start off with that. This is a biblical story or a biblical tale or myth or whatever you want to call it. So according to the Bible, in Genesis 6:1 through 4, it says, "And it come to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, and they were fair. And they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for he for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 127 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, and some became mighty men, which were men of old or men of renown. That's Genesis 1-6. Now, the word Nephilim means the fallen ones or giants, which means they were the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men. So,
yeah, you know what's weird? Not to interrupt you, but what's weird, man, is that I'm a God-fearing man, and I'm Southern, so I grew up Southern Baptist, and I'm quite familiar with the Book of Genesis. Yet I never caught that, dude.
Me either.
I never caught that. Nope. I mean, it literally says there were giants in that day and after.
Mm-hmm.
The only way I found out about it was I come across now this is this kind of follows with our conspiracy theory. So there's a book that is suggested that was removed from the Bible from the Vatican, and that is the Book of Enoch. And in the Book of Enoch, it gives great detail and a great description of this particular topic. So, for those who've been keeping up with us on social media, let's attack this, from point A, and that is Red's. And you make a lot of sense. It's okay. So, why don't you go ahead and tell them why this is such a hard topic for you to digest because of the whole angels and the whole sexuality thing.
All right. So giants, as we know, have always been considered a mythical creature. So when you talk about giants in the Bible, that becomes, according to Christians, that becomes a real, true life thing that happened. You know what I mean? So I never thought, like you were talking earlier about how, I was raised in church, and I heard about Genesis and the beginning of time and all this kind of stuff, but they seem to skip over this part. So giants supposedly came from the sons of God, which are supposedly fallen angels, or when they fell to earth, they would become demons, I guess. I'm not sure how that works or how you graduate or whatever, but these fallen angels supposedly mated with human females. And through my whole entire childhood and most of my adolescence, angels are spiritual beings. They don't have full body. You know what I'm saying? They're spiritual beings. So when this tells me that fallen angels had sex with human females, I just don't see where an angel would have the desire to fornicate. But then there's also evidence that suggests that these angels possessed human males who then mated with the human females. That sounds a little bit more believable. It's all fairy tale and make-believe sounding anyway. So, fallen angels possessing human males and mating with human females sounds a whole lot more believable to me than just an angel falling to earth, for lack of a better word here, getting a hard on and screwing a human female. So, but
is that your scientific terminology?
Yes. And
well, listen. Hold on. Let's take this slow. I want a chance to chime in, and okay. So my rebuttal to that, in the research that I've done over the past couple of years, would suggest that when the angels fell from heaven, they were stripped of their angelic properties, if you will. Like, no, the wings are gone. I was led to believe that they were stripped of their angel membership, if you will, and they a human form. So That's what I got out of it. I mean,
the whole purpose of this whole fallen angel thing was Satan defying God and trying to play God, and he turned 200 angels, and they were cast out of heaven to earth, and to get back at God, Satan and his fallen angels decided to one-up God and fornicate with all these human females, just to see what happened. Screw it all up.
No, well, yeah, to screw it all up, but they did it in an attempt to, because most Christians believe that they are a child of God, and as long as they accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, that they will enter the gates of heaven. However, if fallen angels fornicate with earthly women, that kind of changes the DNA, that kind of changes mankind. So if let's say, for shits and giggles, let's say that, when they fornicated with women, these giants multiplied so much so that they took over the world, which is what kind of happened, and so much so to where mankind was kind of exterminated, and now we have children of the fallen angels. So these children would not make it into heaven. So it's almost like so God is the Almighty, He's the All-Powerful, and if you can't get to God, if you can't punish God, if you can't hurt God, so the next best thing would be to hurt something that God loves and cherishes, which we all know to be us, His children. Mm-hmm. You kind of jumped way to the end, just for me, because that's the end result for me. I think, let me put my conspiracy theorist hat on. I truly think, out of all the research that I've done, that it is a stereotypical adverse evil, and it's been like this since day one. And I think the ultimate goal is to taint mankind so much to where they are no longer children of God. Therefore, nobody makes it to heaven. So Satan wins. And, rumor has it that these angels still exist. Their punishment was to be banished to earth for eternity. And rumor has it that they are still alive, and they are... It is suggested that the whole Antarctica conspiracy is due to these fallen angels.
So, according to what you just said, the 200 fallen angels, mating with human females and creating these Nephilim or however you say it, these giants. So then these giants grow up, and I'm sure that these fallen angels fornicated with different women, not women of all one family or origin. So they were all over the world. So,
and not just women, but animal species as well.
So at one time, there's 200 fallen angels that mated with 200 human females or whatever and created these giants. So that leaves 200 Nephilim giants on the world. So they create these giants grow up and they mate with other giants, they mate with other human females, and they create a race of Nephilim giants. So there's a whole bloodline here?
Yeah, so much so that, again, this is all speculation, you know what I mean? But that is the reason for the Great Flood.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that.
Yeah, what happened was that okay, so the 200 angels fell to earth, and there was not a dictatorship, a chain of command, if you will. So let's say there were 6 of them. So 6 out of the 200 were the leaders. They were powerful. So they came to earth and they showed mankind some secrets from heaven. Some of those secrets were giving them knowledge about minerals in the earth, like copper, steel, silver, gold. They told them how to make weapons, how to make armor. They taught them about jewelry. They taught them about makeup. They taught them about how the stars work, how the sun works, how the moon works. So what happened was, it was a slow process. So these angels didn't have full control over mankind. They came, they fornicated with the women, they had children. These children became giants. The giants were used as a tool, if you will, until the giant population grew so much to where they took over mankind, and they started being malicious and evil, and that's kind of where it all started going downhill. But real quick, let's touch on another part of the whole giants thing. And you and I talked about this before, and you make an interesting point. So there's a lot of question on how in the hell are these pyramids built? How is Stonehenge built? How is I forget the name of it, but it's in Georgia. It's kind of similar to Stonehenge, but today, even with today's technology, in my opinion, I know you're going to have a rebuttal. We talked about it, but we do not have the technology, even today, to stack those big ass stones in a pyramid fashion. You know, the weight alone, we just don't have the technology to do that. Maybe the first level, we might have the technology. Maybe the second level. But dude, do you have any idea how tall these pyramids are?
I do. But
and Stonehenge, and you know, there's just way too many questions that my point is, what I'm getting at is, if you add giants into the equation, that answers a lot of those questions.
So
real,
I mean,
wait. Let me ask you just one question, and I'll let you take over, because this is an important part. At what height is one considered a giant? Because we have some tall motherfuckers, you know, walking the earth right now.
Yeah, the tallest guy on earth right now, I think, is 8'3", I think.
So if you saw an 8'3" guy, is that a giant? Or abnormally tall motherfucker?
I'd just say an abnormally tall motherfucker. I don't think you become a quote-unquote giant until you reach probably 10 foot.
10 foot?
Yeah.
That's the...
Yeah. I mean, you've got wrestlers like Andre the Giant, but I don't think he was 10 foot. But that's just what his stage name was. But I think he was like 7 foot something. But to be considered an actual giant, I think you would have to be at least 10 foot tall. At least. But we're not going to skate right over the whole giant built pyramid shit, though. There's a college, I can't recall right now. I don't have I didn't write it down, but I did see the article. I think it was in Ohio or somewhere. I can't recall the college, but this professor took some students and he done an experiment. He built mechanisms and machines out of wood and stone and rope and all this kind of stuff, and used leverage and a pulley system and all that. And he was able to lift one student was able to lift a 2,500 pound stone by just a one-hand crane off the ground, 5-6 foot. So it's possible that humans, average sized humans, built the pyramids. It's entirely possible.
Yeah, but that tall?
Yeah, it depends. I mean, I'm assuming it depends on how big you build this mechanism as to how high you can lift stones.
Yeah, but dude, if you lower.
Wait. Where are you recording from right now? Are you at a pond or something?
Why, you hear my pets out there?
Yeah, are you like Wild Kingdom right now or what?
Yeah, you know, this is how I get to sleep, man. You know, I got the back door open. I got my frogs out there singing to me. Got some crickets going on out there. I'm country. I'm out in the country.
I hear you.
But I live in the big city of Jacksonville, Florida, so I'm not even sure how that's possible.
Right. I just heard some frog gigging going on. I didn't know where you were at. If you were cruising down the river on a boat, if you were hanging out by a pond, or what?
Yeah, I'm down here by the Okefenokee. So giants being that tall, if let's say that it's possible that somebody is the descendant of a giant.
Okay.
Pretty pissed off. I mean, that it skipped me.
Right.
It's I'm 5'10", so that's certainly not a giant, right?
Right. I had some uncles, and my dad had some uncles that were pretty tall guys. One was like 6'5", one was 6'3". And I'm 5'11", so I didn't quite break 6 foot. So it skipped me too. I mean, I don't think I'd like to be that damn tall. I kind of like it down here where I'm at now.
Well, so the if okay, so some of the research that I've come across suggests that these giants were 30 feet tall. Now they vary in size. You mentioned 10 foot. So according to the research that I've come across, some of these giants, like here we go. The King James translation of the Bible reports the giant Goliath at 6 cubits and a span in height, about 9 feet 9 inches tall. So, that kind of goes against what you said, 10 feet being a giant. So according to you, Goliath in the Bible was only 9 feet 9 inches tall. So he kind of fell short on the whole giant category, didn't he?
Oh, dude, I said 10 foot. I think you become a giant, and this is 9'9". I mean, you might as well say that Goliath is 10 foot tall.
Okay, so we could probably just go on down to 9 foot. If you're 9 foot ish, then you're a giant. You're the Nephilim.
Yeah, but you can't just go down 9 foot whenever you're saying that it's 9'9". That's closer to 10 foot than it is 9. So,
well, imagine the size of and the girth of their man meat at fucking 10 feet. 10 feet tall.
Are we
Holy
talking about
shit.
the dicks of giants now all of a sudden? Is that what we're doing?
Well, I mean, it's a reasonable thought. You know what I mean? It's we're talking about these giants fell from heaven.
A reasonable thought.
And fornicated with our women with these monster cocks.
No, man. No, that's where this misinterpretation thing comes in. I don't think these fallen angels fell from heaven at 10 feet tall. I'm in my own belief here. I'm thinking that an angel's probably just average human size, 6 foot or so. They didn't fall to earth as giants. They fornicated with human women and created giants.
Oh, so because of their angelic beings fornicating with earthly women, so the angel DNA is what created the giants.
Right. And then as the giants became part of the earth and walked the earth, and those giants mated with human females and created the race of the Nephilim, then yeah, we're talking about a monster cock. But fallen angels didn't fall from heaven 10 feet tall, I don't think. I mean, this is just my speculation and my opinion. But I don't think...
Well, that brings up an interesting, question as far as, okay, so the Nephilim. So the word Nephilim, does that describe the angels that fell from heaven, or does that describe...
the word Nephilim means fallen ones or giants. It doesn't say... It doesn't describe one or the other. It just says fallen ones and giants. So I guess that covers fallen angels and the Nephilim that were created after they fell from heaven. I can only assume here.
Well, there's all kind of conspiracy theories going on about these giants and these fallen angels, and I have reason to believe that these angels do exist here on Earth
today.
Today? Yeah. And
wait a minute. second, before you go any further. Are we talking about the race from biblical times, or are we talking about New Age giants that are descendants? Are we talking about they found a way to trap these Nephilim giants of old, if you will? And
well, if I'm not mistaken, according to the Book of Enoch, their punishment was to they're held in a prison, a God-built prison, if you will, like under the earth or something like that. Some people think that. Have you noticed that the internet or the technology has just boomed in the past 20 years?
Yeah, we have a pretty big technological boom in the last 20 years.
Yeah, so a lot of people are suggesting that that's these 200 fallen angels, and the government, not necessarily the United States government, but the New World Order, quote unquote, government is holding them hostage. And because from what I understand, they don't have any power. Like, God stripped them of power, and they're held captive, and through archaeology or whatever that word is, we came across them, and now we're holding them captive, and we're kind of taking advantage of the technology that they have knowledge of.
So are we talking about fallen angels or giants here?
Yeah, the angels. Like Google came from the fallen angels, apparently.
Do you realize? Okay, I know you're a spiritual man and all that. But do you realize how far-fetched this all sounds? You just said, wait. You just said that the government or the New World Order, which is far-fetched in itself, which that's a whole other conspiracy theory by itself. We already covered secret societies and all that. But you're saying that a New World Order government has found a way to capture these 200 exact angels and rib them of their knowledge of technology.
Yeah, now not all of them.
And that angels, fallen angels, gave the government the idea of Google. Listen to that. That sounds like a completely made up drunk story on the weekend.
Listen, it is, and it's all speculation. I have no fact to back it up. This is conspiracy theories or whatever. But, dude, there is so much information out there that would back me up. And the reason that it sounds so far-fetched to you is because you've been programmed to think that the only thing that's real is what you have seen and touched yourself. Why is it so hard to believe that? I mean, look, it is fact.
Listen to what you just said.
Wait. It is fact that we have found skeletal remains of giants. True or false?
According to the internet that the New World Order government, as you say, created. Yeah. This is a whole. We're coming full circle here. Have you ever read an Encyclopedia Britannica and read about the New World Order or Nephilim Giants? Have you ever read a Britannica that said that?
No, but who do you think writes the Encyclopedia Britannica?
Scholars and scientists and history buffs and all that kind of shit.
Right. And who do you think pays them?
The organization that they are attributing to.
And who do you think founded those organizations? Who pays them? Who pays grants?
You want me to say the government?
Yeah, dude, that's what it all boils down to. Look, the government is anti-Christ. They are out to remove God from everything. They're trying to coerce mankind into walking away from God. They've already taken God out of everything. They want to take God out of the dollar bill, out of schools. Look, I'm going way out in left field here, but the whole Nephilim, the whole fallen angels, this is an example of good versus evil, from day one. And there has been a holy war from day one We are actually living the scene out of Genesis, where the snake coerced Eve and then Adam into eating the apple, just on a different scale. And New Age, you know what I mean? Technology, social media, the news, you know what I mean? The mainstream media, even your churches are not all of them, you know, but even a lot of your churches are being manipulated by Satan, and he's using the government. And you know, you look at the Vatican. I know we talked about this earlier, but they have the biggest telescope in the world. Now, why in the fuck would the Vatican, who's supposed to be a holy land, spiritual place, why would they have such a big ass telescope? And why are we not privy to the photos, you know, and the images that they see through that big ass telescope? And why is the acronym, I don't know the name of the telescope, but the acronym for that telescope is Lucifer? What the fuck is going on here? Something is going on here.
All right, but listen.
Okay,
but
wait, let me just finish this up. It is fact. There is proof that there are giant skeleton remains. It's fact. You can't deny it. It's all over it's in Smithsonian's. It's in museums, and it's not just, you know, in one country. It's all over the world. So how can you just so easily dismiss the possibilities that this could be true when there is factual evidence that would suggest that it's true?
All right, number one.
Wait, how many numbers are there?
There's a couple. I got a couple points to make here. Number one, the Vatican. You said the Vatican took the Book of Enoch out of the Bible, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, and the Book of Enoch describes this whole entire story of the Nephilim Giants right down to a T, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, so if they took the Book of Enoch that describes these giants and other biblical myths or whatever, stories or whatever in this Book of Enoch, why would they leave the part in Genesis that says that there were giants that walked the earth? Wouldn't they want to keep that shit completely secret and kind of omit, kind of put some white out on Genesis 6:1-4?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I don't have an answer for that.
And number two. And number two. There's no literal proof that archaeologists are digging up giant skeletons.
What do you mean?
Wait a minute. There are genetic mutations, even now in science, that make people 8 foot tall, 9 foot tall. Genetic mutations that make them grow that big. So who's to say that these genetic flaws didn't happen in biblical times and they just didn't know what it was called? They didn't know that was a birth defect or something like that, and they just called them giants and made up this grand story to cover it all up. Because the Vatican, you know, has this Lucifer telescope or whatever. I mean, there are scientists that come out of the Vatican that have access to this telescope. So that's why they have a telescope. Now, why they call it Lucifer, I guess it's just a play on, this is the religious Mecca and our telescope's named Lucifer. It's just a play on words, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I'm just speculating here. But this could be, and this goes back to my whole fairy tale scenario. This could be one grand, huge story to not necessarily cover up, but to give an alternative to these birth defects and these genetic flaws that happen years and years and years ago that creates these large people. Now, until you can find me real scientific proof that the archaeologists of this world have dug up 15-foot and 30-foot motherfuckers, then I can't believe it, dude. There's no way that there have been... Listen, you think about how tall 30 feet is. That is huge.
Yeah.
Step off 30 foot when you go out in the yard next time. That's a tall dude. And you're gonna tell me that, you know, these angels just fell from heaven, had sex with females, and created giants. That is the hugest, the biggest fairy tale of all. So Jack and the Beanstalk. So you're gonna tell me the story of Jack and the Beanstalk derived from this whole Nephilim thing? That's where they got the idea. I'm assuming giants are Bible giants, just, you know, evolved into fairy tales and stories and all this kind of stuff. So Goliath was 9'9". Might as well say he was 10 foot. Nowhere in the Bible, except for Genesis 1 through 5 or 6 or so, says anything about a giant. That's it. I think Numbers, Book of Numbers, speaks on it a little bit. But if these people, and it was a whole entire race of people, why would Goliath have the only main story?
Again, there's
is all I'm saying.
Yeah, listen, there's a lot of okay, wait a minute. So in Australia, they found a human skeleton and he measured in at 5 meters. So let's see, let me do the math here. 5 meters, that would be roughly 16 feet. 16 feet tall. A skeletal remain found in Australia. So, you know, you keep coming up with these, you know, you're how old are you? 38?
Mm-hmm.
And you were born in South Carolina.
Yep. Raised in church my entire life.
Yeah, but so my point is that, you know, you've done no archaeological digs. You've done, you know, you've only been in the United States. You know, how are you so comfortable with believing that, or not believing any of this? I mean,
how many archaeological digs have you been on, Paycheck?
Well, I mean,
how many archaeological digs have you been on? How many giants has your redneck ass ever dug?
Yeah, but I've traveled the world. I've been to many museums. I've seen big skeleton skull.
Point. Okay, so you made the point. You can believe. We just talked about this the other day, and you remember what I'm talking about when I say it. You believe that there have been 16-foot human beings dug up out of the earth. But
yes, in Australia.
But you don't believe in dinosaurs.
No, I believe in dinosaurs. I believe dinosaurs are also a result of the fallen angels fornicating with wildlife. That's why you also see I always forget this word, and you always remind me. What is it? The horse and the man?
A minotaur. Minotaur.
Yeah, so that's how you get the mermaids and, you know, minotaurs or tars or whatever. That's where giants came from. That's where a lot of these weird looking, you know, species come from. It says in I get confused sometimes on if it's in the book of Genesis or if it's in the book of Enoch. But Enoch was a very important person in Scripture. He was the only person to enter the gates of heaven without experiencing death first. So if he was that important to God and to, you know, biblically speaking, why would that be removed from the Bible? It's because the people don't want you to know about all these things. They don't want you to know what the future holds.
But why
they don't want you to know.
Why leave that tidbit in Genesis 6? Why not take it all out? Do they just forget?
There's an agenda.
Did they just forget a little bit?
There's an agenda. Listen, we just said in the beginning of this that we both come from pretty thick Southern, you know, church roots. Yet I've missed that this whole time. That's why.
So you're tying the Mandela effect into this? Like this just got skimmed over, or it wasn't there when you were little and now it is, or what?
No, I don't know. You make a good point. You know, why leave that in there? Look, I'm not saying this stuff is real. I'm saying that I believe it to be real. But of course, you know, who am I? You know what I mean? The only thing I've done is come across 2 years of research. And my only response to all your questions is that there is just way too much evidence that would suggest that this is real. You can't with all the information that's out there, you can't just totally disregard this as a fairy tale. I mean, that's crazy. You know, if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, it ain't a fucking dog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and that's what makes this an interesting topic. We can go on for days with this shit because.
But you're talking about bestiality now, man. I mean,
yeah, of course.
I mean,
yeah.
Come on, this is the huge. I mean, I'm not going to go as far as say that the entire Christian Bible is full of fairy tales, because I look at the Christian Bible as a history book, because it's been proven that Jesus was a human being that walked the earth. It's been proven. There's no doubt about that. And that Pontius Pilate was a real human being. And King James was a real human being. And Barabbas, that hung on the right side of Jesus, was a real human being.
No, he was the one that was freed. And you know the story, don't you? Barabbas was the one that was in prison. The king, or I forget who it was, but they offered up Barabbas in replace of Jesus, and they said, "No, we want to hang Jesus."
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying history in general. I'm just saying history in general. I thought that's why I say that the Christian Bible to me is nothing more than a history book, because man wrote the Bible. Jesus didn't write the Bible.
I know, but let's not go all the way out into left field. I mean,
I'm not. I'm just saying that this is. I mean, all these historical facts that are in the Bible that have been proven by science, and then all of a sudden they throw a little. They just shake the dice and throw a little bit of Nephilim Giants in there. I mean, it's all one huge fairy tale to me. It all fairy tale. I'm surprised Disney hasn't made a damn movie out of it yet. It's all one huge fairy tale to me.
Well, they probably have. They probably want to, but the cabal won't let them. You know, and the problem is, in a nutshell, is because you're not woke. You're not woke yet.
Oh, here we go again with this woke shit.
Now, so in all seriousness, here's. Okay, so it's very hard to live the lives that we live currently, and believe these types of things, because. You know, if you think back to biblical times, it's kind of hard to believe the lives that they lived according to the lives that we live now. Some of the things, you know, even in history books, even in National Geographic, you know, if you pick up a National Geographic magazine and you look at some small village in Africa, you would think, there's no way. Stretching their necks, stretching their lips, it would seem asinine to you. It would seem fake to you. It would seem like a fairy tale to you. It's because you live in a culture where you live, and unfortunately, you know, here I am with my conspiracy hat on, but I truly believe that most of the stuff that we've been taught has been a lie, and we are being programmed, and we are being led astray, and that there's a lot of information out there, a lot of truth out there that is being hidden, and there's a reason for it. And I believe the reason for it, you know, the removal of the Book of Enoch. There's also the secret teachings of Jesus Christ. All these things have been removed and hidden. Why? Because they don't want you to know the truth. They don't want you to know what happened in the past, biblically speaking, because they don't want you to be aware and be able to combat, you know, all that happening again. So what's going to happen in a nutshell? Let's say all this is real. The guy like you, not you in general, but, you know, somebody who thinks the way you think, like, you know, are unable to open their minds and remove everything that they've been taught and from your parents and their parents and their parents. You're a victim of tradition and culture. So let's say someone like you or your mindset that doesn't believe anything. They just believe what they see and they they can touch, something tangible. So when the shit does hit the fan, you're not going to be prepared. And that's what whoever is responsible for all this secrecy and hidden truths, that's the main goal, is to blind you to where you're not knowledgeable and prepared for when the shit hits the fan.
Yeah, but if I'm a person that only believes in tangible things where I can see, touch, taste, and smell, then when the shit does hit the fan, why would I not believe it? Because I'm seeing it and I'm touching it and I'm experiencing the whole thing. Why would I not believe that?
But what if when you finally do see it, touch it, and all that stuff, it's too late?
Too late for what?
You didn't prepare yourself
for
either.
What?
Well, that depends. I mean, it's spiritually, physically, mentally. Having knowledge, like for example, and I'm going way out in left field, but the Antichrist. Now, if you're educated and knowledgeable about the Antichrist and what to look for, I believe it's the Bible suggests that the Antichrist is going to fool everybody. Well, if you don't know anything about the Antichrist, you didn't do your research, you're not spiritual, you're just a guy that goes to work and comes home and goes to work and comes home, and you're just living your regular old life, you're going to be fooled by the Antichrist. Now, I know I'm going way out in left field, but to bring it all, back, it's more about, it's weird to me that people, well, I'm going to say you, we've had this conversation before, but why can't you remove all the shit that's been, that has, what's the word? Indoctrinated. Is that the word?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you think that most of the stuff that we know, we only know because it was taught to us. It was taught to us by another human being. And they know this information because another human being taught them, another human being taught them. So most of the stuff we know, and culture plays a big part in it. We're from the South. So most of the stuff, and that's why you and I get along, that's why we're best friends, is because we have been programmed the same way, the same channel, if you will, because we live in at the geographical location, the southern roots, what your grandpappy told your dad, and his grandpappy told him, and what his grandpappy told him. I mean, and the shit goes on. So I just feel like we need to stop for a second. We need to acknowledge and be self-aware. Okay, so what makes my dad right? What makes my grandpa right? What makes his grandpa right? Is the story that they know and the story that they told their child and their child and their child all the way down? Is it true? Is it the truth? We don't know that. So for all we know, and this is kind of where I'm at right now, all that stuff that we know could be, I'm not saying it is or it isn't, I'm just opening my mind enough to be able to say, is this real? Is this the truth? Could there be information out there that my great-great-great-grandpappy wasn't privy to? Nor, the next generation, the next generation, the next generation, all the way down to me. So I'm not saying that any of this is true. I'm not saying any of it's false. I'm just saying that I'm in a place in my life to where I open myself up, and I'm opening myself up for a truth, if you will. I'm searching for the truth.
All right. I'm totally aware that there's something going on. Totally aware of that fact. So for you to say that I'm not awoke or that I haven't accepted the truth, I mean, we've already been through this 5-6 episodes in a row now. There's no...
Not including all the personal conversations we've
right,
had.
not including all the personal conversations that we've had. But who's to say that you are the one that's right and I'm the one that's wrong? Why can't it be turned the other way around? Why come this can't be one huge fairy tale?
First of all, because you said why come. That just eliminates all your logic. And why come? See, how can I, take what you're saying into consideration when you say things like why come?
But you've solidified the fact that we are Southern gentlemen and that we talk Southern, we act Southern, and we portray ourselves as Southern men. So I can say why come and get away with it and still sound educated and knowledgeable.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I mean, I think that stomps and squishes the whole making fun of Red's vocabulary right in the ground, I think.
Yeah, it does. And just, I want to give the listeners a little backstory. Red and I have, I wouldn't say gotten to fights but we get into heated conversations so much to where, we have to walk away a little bit. We have to hang up on the phone calls. We have to take a step back because Red's smart, and he checks me and he puts me in my place, and I check him and I put him in his place. But the end result is that we still don't know. we haven't come to any factual decision, if you will. Right?
No, the truth is definitely out there, for sure. The truth is out there. We just haven't come across it yet. We talk about it. We decipher it amongst ourselves. We talk prior to episodes. And we come to the conclusion that there is no solid truth. The truth is out there, but there's no solid truth. And all we can do is talk about it. And the listeners, the people that are taking the time out of their day to listen to Paycheck and Red can draw their own conclusions and come up with their own scenarios and their own truths. So,
well, due to our social media, we've had quite the commotion over the past couple weeks about this particular topic, and we'd like to. I personally would like to keep it going. I think this topic could. I think there's still a lot more that needs to be talked about in this particular topic. What do you think? I mean, do you want to continue this? Do you want to open it up, and to our listeners and see if we get some feedback? See if are they on your side or are they on my side?
Yeah, I'm totally open to the fact, man. Like I say, we started this podcast talking about random topics and things you wouldn't normally talk about around the water cooler at work, and it's evolved into a truth-seeking, comedic banter of just my opinion and your opinion, and we put it together, and we still don't know about anything. Even the stuff that we talked about before this whole conspiracy theory series that we're doing here, even before that, we still draw our own conclusions, and the people that listen to us draw their own conclusions, and they find out their own truth. So I like the way and the direction that the podcast is going, and just the fact that we can come together and talk about this in a different point of view from each of us and still draw our own conclusions without the influence of one another is what makes it great. To me, because
you're not budging at all.
No, man, it's a huge ass. Even the conspiracy theory, secret society, aliens, all that shit. It's all hard, unproven truths. It's just hearsay. It's fairy tale. I mean, you got Area 51, and we've yet to touch on that. I don't even think we're going to go in that direction because there's a crazy bunch of shit going on there. But none of it's ever been proven as actual fact. From these Nephilim Giants to Area 51. None of it's ever been solidly proved to the public, ever. It's just hearsay.
But it has.
It's hearsay.
No,
yeah.
It has. It's just a matter of are you willing to take the information provided and call it truth or not?
We make our own truth.
Right, but that's where you and I differ, is that I'm able to take the information that I've received and call it truth. You take the information and you're like, Man, that sounds like a damn fairy tale to me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's, I guess it's like you said, it's the individual and their perception. But I truly believe that an individual's perception is based on how they were raised, who they were raised by, and we're talking about generation after generation after generation. If I told a lie 100 years ago, and that lie was passed on to the next generation and the next generation, the next generation, it's going to get all the way down to us, and we're still going to call it a truth. But that doesn't mean that it's the truth.
Okay.
It's like the whole telephone game.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
So yeah, so we'll continue this. We'll reach out to our listeners and on our social media, and we'll put the word out and see what everybody thinks. And if somebody wants to weigh in on this, or somebody's got some information that Red and I haven't talked about, then we'll think about doing another episode. Keeping in the same direction. You cool with that?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we're almost an hour in. I don't want to draw them out, too long.
Right.
Drag them out.
Right.
Oh, what is it?
What?
Drag them along?
Yeah, sure.
Sounds good to me. Well, pretty sure everybody knows by now, but just in case they don't, you want to tell everybody where they can find us?
Yeah, we're on Facebook. At Facebook at Paycheck and Red, not Facebook and Red. It's Paycheck and Red. We're on Twitter at Paycheck and Red, Instagram at Paycheck and Red Podcast. We're on YouTube, and we've just branched out. Paycheck just branched out a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. We're on Patreon now.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
Say what now?
So what does that mean exactly?
That means that we are providing the listeners and the fans of Conversations with Paycheck and Red, we are granting them access to things we don't publish. We are starting a series. We're starting a series with a really good friend of ours by the name of Brad Jackson. He's the owner of Roughneck Grooming Supply. He has his own band, Americana folk rock punk band called The Fighting Side, and he's a pretty damn good storyteller.
Yeah, he's got he's been around. He's been around.
That he has, and we're starting a series with him called Storytime with Brad, and we're also doing. He knows a lot of obscure people, so we're also doing a series called I Know a Guy Who Knows a Guy Who Knows a Guy Who Knows a Random Celebrity, and this random person, without the random person, but this Brad Jackson that we're getting ready to start this series with, he knows people like that. He knows, I think it's called the 6 degrees of separation, where you know anybody in the world through 6 people. So Brad's one of those guys. He's a character. He's got a story to tell, and we're doing a Patreon thing where you can subscribe for $5 a month, and you can hear these stories and these random banterings of Brad Jackson and all these cool stories he has to tell for only $5 a month.
But listen, these aren't just regular stories. We're talking about a guy who traveled this country with a band. He was in he played in Warped Tour also, right? So he's been around the block a time or two. He's got some tour bus stories, I'm sure, some green room stories. So I definitely want to tune into that. It's not going to be your average episode stuff. We're saving all this stuff. It's the nitty gritty. It's the dirty. It's the grimy shit. Yeah. So this is the kind of shit that you're not going to hear on a regular episode of Conversations with Paycheck and Red. We're going to get a little more R-rated, a little more X-rated. Not necessarily X-rated or R-rated. These are just, the dirty, grimy stories of a guy who traveled this country in a band. So you can imagine that he's got some crazy-ass stories to tell.
Yeah, and if you don't want to subscribe for $5 a month, that's fine. That's totally fine. We get it. So we are offering also just a $1 one-time donation of $1. And if you do so, me and Paycheck here, we're going to call you and we're going to leave you a random voicemail. It's going to be funny. It's going to be nasty. It's going to be dirty. It's going to be hilarious. So if you donate $1, you can at least, help the cause, give us a chance to give you guys a better podcast. But you can also get a personalized voicemail from yours truly here. So,
and it's going to be something that you're going to have to hit that save button often to make sure you don't lose that voicemail.
Yeah, we're gonna do a little tweaking of the whole situation because of phone numbers and all that. We still got some bugs to work out. But once you donate the $1, we will call you, and we will leave you the dirtiest, funniest, grimiest, nastiest email or voicemail rather that you've ever heard. So we appreciate y'all. So we got to give back. If you give to us, we got to give back. So we're trying to upgrade the whole recording aspect of this podcast. We're trying to
need equipment.
Yeah,
need it bad.
Yeah, because we mentioned at the beginning of the episode that this is the first episode of season 2. So we are progressing, we're evolving, we're growing a little bit. So
need help.
With the
help us.
With the help of you guys, maybe we can make it happen. So get on that, patreon.com/paycheck-and-rip. Check it out.
Well, man, real quick, do you listen to podcasts?
Yeah, I listen to podcasts every single day.
Give me somebody that let's what's the expression? Let's extend the olive branch a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Let's give our listeners a podcast that they would enjoy. Who's one of your favorite podcasters, if you will, right now?
Right now, I am bouncing between Simply Scary podcast, which is just a storytelling podcast. It's pretty cool. Check it out. But I am stuck on, and I can't seem to get away from it. I've listened to episodes over and over again because these guys are fucking hilarious. They kind of do what we do. They have a different little spin. They're from Portland, Oregon, I think is where they are. They are Idiots Discuss the Universe. Yeah. Craig and Spencer. These guys are dude, but they're funny. I mean, they have a whole different little twist because of the geological locations. They have a different outlook on things, but it's funny. And I like it. I know, I've turned Paycheck onto it. He listens to them, so
you're good. Definitely worth your while to check them out.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, well, is that it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
All right, well, until next time, see ya.
Later.
The big questions.
Can I curse?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, let it all out.
The hard truths.
Because anything that we're bound to talk about, we're bound to sound like idiots.
Idiots Discuss the Universe. We're poorly informed, highly opinionated, and hold no topic off limits.
Like and subscribe on iTunes or listen on your favorite interweb podcast portal.
Idiots Discuss the Universe.